sure this is volume's up. Good morning. If you like blueberry jam, we're going to make some blueberry jam this morning. And it's very easy, very quick. So, first of all, I'm going to give my two little ones a treat, because they're right here with me. So, give me just a minute and I will give them a treat and I'll be right back. Lily, want a treat? Lily, you want a treat? You want a treat? Sit. Sit. Good boy. Good girl. Okay, now if you hear some squabbling in the background, they will squabble a little over their treats. They are puppies. Okay, so let's make some blueberry jam. As you've seen from my thumbnail, I just made 6 half pints. I believe that's what these are. Half pints. I made 6, so today we're going to make another 6. So that will give me 1 dozen pints of my beautiful blueberry jam. And it turned out so pretty. So, as you've seen on my thumbnail, this is my 6 pints that I just made. And we will open one of those so you can see the consistency at the end. Good morning, beautiful lady. I'm from San Diego, California, USA. Well, good morning. Good morning, Richard. So, it's very easy. I use a ball, jelly, and jam maker. And if you've never seen a ball, jelly, and jam maker, this is the jelly and jam maker. And this is what we are going to be using this morning. It makes it very easy. If you've never made jelly or jam, this is very easy to do. It basically does most of the work for you, and then you just have to cold pack, which is putting your jars into hot water for 10 minutes. And as you can see, I've got a pot here on the stove, and you always want to have hot jars for your jam because it will be hot. So I've got my 6 jars in my water. And sorry for the puppies in the background. Do you really need the maker? No, you don't really need the maker. You can do this on your stovetop, and you do not need the ball, jelly, and jam maker. Now, if you do it on the stovetop, of course, you're going to have to stand there with it and make sure that it doesn't scorch. This is so simple and easy that a child could help you, as long as you're careful, because this machine does get very hot. But this is the ball, jelly, and jam maker that we're using. And we will be following this recipe. Hopefully you can see that. And this is a berry jam, so I'm making jam. And it's real, you just follow the recipe that they give you, and they give you step-by-step instructions. So, this recipe made 6 half pints of blueberry jam. So we're going to do the other 6 pints. So I've washed my rings and lids. And I've got everything measured out to try and speed it up a little bit. You're too sweet for this app. Oh, well, thank you. So we're going to go ahead and go through it step by step. The first thing you need to do, now I have 2 blueberry bushes, so I picked my own blueberries. And you want to make sure that you clean them, make sure there's no stems or no debris on them. Blueberries are delicious. Yes, they are, Mark. So, I've got some blueberries over here that I picked from my bushes. So, I'll move you over here. And move it down a little bit. And hopefully you can see that. So, these are the blueberries that I've picked from my bushes. Not hitting on you, you're just spreading positively. Oh, well, thank you, Mark. So as you can see, I've got this strainer and another strainer. And these are blueberries that I've picked. So I'm just going to make sure that they're good and clean. So I'm going to rinse them really good, which I've already done. But I'm just going to take you through the process. So just get in there and make sure they're good and clean. Rinse them really well. After you've made sure there's no bad berries, no stems or debris. And you can see how absolutely beautiful those blueberries are. So I just get in there and make sure they're good and clean. Now these I picked first, so I'm going to use these first. But I'm going to go ahead and get these rinsed as well, just in case I need a few extra blueberries. Okay. Now I can raise you up a little bit. Now I'm just going to add those blueberries to a large measuring cup. Try and get as much water off of the blueberries as you can. And that is under 6 cups. So I'm going to go ahead and wash these really good in this large container. And you can see the little stems that I'm talking about. If you see any little stems or anything, you need to bring them off. Any debris, which I picked these myself, so they should be nice and clean. So I'm just double checking them, and again, same process. I'm just rinsing them really well. And if some of them are a little bit red, which mine are different ones, I have 2 different bushes, and some are more blue, and some have a little bit of a red tint. So I'm going to go ahead and just get these all washed and rinsed really good. And then I'm going to add some of these to my container. I'm trying to get about 6 cups. Okay, that looks really good. Alright, so now I want to move you over here. Okay, now if you're following the instructions, thanks, now I'm hungry, laugh out loud. How long does a berry bush take to grow? I've had mine for several years. I started off with 2 small bushes, and that was about 13 years ago. And my bushes are a little over 6 foot tall. And when you do plant blueberry bushes, you always plant 2 different name brand. Because if you plant the same name brand, they will not reproduce and bloom. And I had blueberries like the first year, but just a few. So now I just have the 2 bushes, and they're over 6 foot tall and approximately 4 feet wide, 5 feet wide or more. And I can get anywhere from 10 to 15 quarts of blueberries between the 2 bushes. So that's plenty for myself and my husband. I've been wanting to start a garden, but I'm in the city. Now the blueberry bushes don't take up a whole lot of room other than their height and their width. And they do love sun. Mine are directly in the sun. They have no shade, and they, as you can see, they produce absolutely beautiful blueberries. And a multitude of blueberries. And my husband always uses, when he treats the blueberry bushes, he makes sure that everything's organic. And because they will get like little mites, it's almost like little webs. So he always goes out in the spring and treats them, and in the fall. But during the time that they're blooming or producing, of course, he doesn't go out and treat the blueberry bushes. Okay, so what we're going to do is just follow this recipe, and it's very, very easy. And again, this is for the ball jelly and jam maker. Okay, it says what to do. Clean berries by rolling them back and forth on an open towel. If dirt is observed on berries, rinse carefully in cool running water and drain thoroughly. Now, we've already done all of that. So, now we have to crush the berries 1 layer at a time using a potato masher. So, I'm going to show you what we're going to need to go through this process. I'm going to turn you around here and bring you down a little bit. Okay, we already seen my pot, and I use this as a canner. It's a stainless steel pot. And make sure when you put your jars in, you have something on the bottom. You cannot just set your jars directly in the bottom of the stainless steel pot. So I do have a cold pack canner, and then I have this stainless steel canner, and I have one of the liners that you can buy at Walmart to put on the bottom of the stainless steel pan and set your jars on it. Or if you don't have that, you can always line the bottom of your stainless steel pan with some extra rings, and then just set your jars in on top of the rings. But never set your jars directly down on the bottom of the pot. So you're going to need something to cold pack, which I've got the stainless steel pot on, heating my jars. I've got my jars in there right now. You're going to need some container to mash your berries in. So I'm just using a large glass bowl. you're going to need a potato masher. If you don't have a metal one and you have a plastic one, just something, any type of potato masher so you can mash your berries and break them up. You're going to need to get your jars out of the hot water. You are going to need your canning tongs. You're going to need your debubbler so you can make sure that there's no bubbles in your jars. And you're going to need a funnel. And I use the stainless steel funnel for the small berry jars, but when I use it I have to be very careful because it comes out very hot, very, very hot. So you can use plastic, but remember, if you're using blueberries, they do stain, you know, so I use stainless steel if I have it available. Okay, then we have our 6 half-pint jars in the pot, getting hot. And we'll go ahead and turn that down some, because I want those to be good and warm. And I've got my 6 rings and lids that are washed. Now, used to, they tell you to put your rings in, or your lids in hot water, and now Ball doesn't call for it. And I did 6 half pints, and I did not put my lids in hot water, and as you can see, they have sealed perfectly, and they're absolutely beautiful. I've been waiting. Okay, so I read that one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with crushing the berries. So I'm going to move these things here off to the side. And it says to crush them 1 layer at a time, because you want to have plenty of space on your berries, and you want to make sure that you are crushing them. So I'm just going to put a little bit in at a time. I put about this much in my bowl, and now I'm going to go ahead and crush them using my potato masher. And I just push down and spin with it. You just want to break the skins. And if you want a little bit more chunky jam, then you don't really break it completely down. You just want to try and mash them a little bit there. I like a little bit of chunk in my jam. So it's your preference at this point. And of course, if I was doing this on the stove, at this point I would be trying to get everything ready to cook these berries down. But we're not doing these on the stove. We're using the ball jelly and jam maker. Okay. I'm going to show you what I've got. And as you can see, they're getting juicy. So I'm going to add my next layer. And these will cook down, so remember that when you're cooking them. They will cook down, so you don't have to completely mash all of your berries. You just want to break the skins a little bit. And again, it's to your preference. How chunky do you want your jam? And I'm going to put the last in. Now this may be more berries than what I need, but I'm going to go ahead and crush them up because I have more berries coming on. And I have to use both hands because my hands do not work really, really good. If you've been watching some of my lives, then you understand and have seen me having problems with my hands. And as you can see, I'm really getting a lot of juice in there now. And I think I'm going to stop right about there because I want a few of these to be chunky. Just a few. All right. So now, it says that I need 2 2/3 cup of crushed berries. And always make sure I add some of that juice right in there. Okay, there we go. 2 2/3. Okay. So there's 2 2/3 cups of my crushed blueberries. As you can see, I've left some pretty chunky. Now again, we're following the recipe from the ball, jelly, and jam maker. So, we also need real fruit classic pectin. And we're going to need 3 tablespoons. And this you can get at Walmart, Kroger's, or even on Amazon. We're going to need 3 1/3 cups of granulated sugar. We're going to need 1/2 teaspoon of butter or margarine, and this will help it with the foam when it's starting to foam on the top. Okay, so that's all my ingredients. So now I'm going to move you over here. And get you focused on the jelly maker. And again, this is the ball jelly and jam maker. I absolutely love this device, or this appliance, should I say. It does an absolutely wonderful job. Hopefully you can see me okay there. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the instructions and get this started. This will do most of the work for me. So, here we go. Removing the lid. Now, there's only a few components to this. You've got your pot, you've got the stirrer, and then you've got the main base. So that's all there is to this. There's nothing else to it. And your lid. Okay, following the instructions. Hopefully you can see me there. We are going to sprinkle our pectin evenly over the bottom of the pot. Fitted with the stirrer, so we've got the stirrer in. So that's our first step. And we need 3 tablespoons. And you just try to get it as evenly as you can across the bottom. So I'll bring it up and then tilt it. There, you can hopefully see that. You just try to get it as evenly as you can there across the bottom. It does not have to be perfect. Okay, then your next step is you add your crushed berries evenly. So I try to get it about as even as I can. So that was the 2, and now here is the 2/3. And I absolutely love this because it does most of the work for me. Okay, now add the butter or margarine to help reduce the foaming. So I have 1/2 teaspoon of butter. And yes, my hands are clean. So I just add my butter. Okay. Now, plug in the machine. And I'm going to move you down here. You can see the machine, and it's blinking. And you have jam on this side, jelly on this side. You just push the jam button. It'll automatically come on for 21 minutes. And then you push enter. And then it will start turning. At this point, we will not put our lid on. We're just going to let that do what it's supposed to do. Now, in 4 minutes, it will beep. And when it beeps 4 times, then we will add our butter, or our sugar. So, in the meantime, I'm going to move over here and we'll wait for that to beep. What was in the jar you dumped in the pan? That was crushed blueberries. If you go back to the beginning, I washed my blueberries. I measured out 6 cups of washed, cleaned blueberries, and then I crushed them with a potato masher, and the recipe called for 2 2/3 cup of crushed blueberries. So what you've seen in that cup was the crushed blueberries. So now, all I'm doing is waiting for this to beep 4 short beeps, and then I will add my 3 1/3 cup of regular granulated sugar. And these were the blueberries that I picked, from my garden. There was still some water in that one. Good thing I have a paper towel. Now this does get hot, so I'll bring you back over, and hopefully you can see that. And it is mixing up the berries, and you can see the steam starting to rise up out of there. It does get very hot. Okay, so now I'm just going to move a few things around here. And I do have more blueberries ripening, so I'm going to take the extra crushed blueberries and put it in a container, because I'll be picking more blueberries again today and making my last small batch of jam. So that's what I have left over. So I'm going to just store those in the refrigerator overnight. And I do have these extra blueberries that I have picked already, and then I have more to pick today. Now there was our 4 short beeps, so it's time to add the sugar. And you just try to add it evenly. And that was 3 1/3 cup of granulated sugar. Now at this time, we place our lid on the jelly and jam maker. It says wait 4 minutes for the appliance to sound 4 short beeps, indicating that it's time to add the sugar. Add the granulated sugar while the stir is constantly running, and then place the glass lid on the pot. Now, that's all I need to do. This will do its own thing, and when it is done, it will beep to let me know that it's done. And then at that point, I can put it in my jars and cold pack it for 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse some things off here. I really like this, I really do like this jelly and jam maker. I'm not sure if Ball still carries them. This is the Ball brand. And if they do not carry them, I think there may be another company that has one that is similar to the Ball jelly and jam maker. So now all I'm doing is waiting for this to beep. I've got my rings and lids washed and ready. I'm going to go ahead and place this in the refrigerator and I'll be right back. What is all the ingredients? Just blueberries, butter, and sugar. Blueberries, butter, sugar, and of course you're going to need the real fruit classic pectin. And you can get this. This is the Ball brand. And this is homemade for homemade jellies and jam recipe. Now you can get these at Walmart, Kroger, or on Amazon. Okay, so I'm just waiting for that to beep, so I'm going to go ahead and get my rings ready and my lids. And they're already washed and rinsed. And of course I did not heat these. Ball doesn't call for them to be heated. They used to, but for some reason they're not doing that anymore. Now I tried it without heating them and putting them in warm water on my last batch, and all of them sealed. So I'm just basically putting my lid in my ring, and I want to move those closer to the area where I'm going to be getting my jars out of the hot water. Okay, so basically now all I'm waiting on is for that to beep. It takes 21 minutes total in the Ball and jelly and jam maker, and I like it because you don't have to stand over the stove, which I don't have the strength in my hands anymore to do the stirring. And I absolutely love this because the jelly and jam maker basically does all the work for you and makes it so easy. So when that beeps, I've already got my jars in hot water, because your jam is going to come out hot, so you want hot jars. And we're using the half-pint jelly jars. And this is the ones that I made day before yesterday. They're on my thumbnail. So I'm going to go ahead and move these because I'm going to be needing that place to set my ones I'm doing now. So I did 6 half pints, and you can see how nice that is gelled. If I can hold it just right, hopefully you can see that. And it's absolutely beautiful. And before I put these away, I'll mark them, and then I will remove the rings from them. And as you can see, they all sealed, and they're absolutely beautiful. And at the end, we'll open one of these so you can see the consistency, because these have now set for almost 48 hours. And I have about 10 minutes. Okay, I wanted to make sure there wasn't another question on there. And I will get an area ready so I can bring you over here and you can see. So you can see the process. But it's very simple, very easy using the ball jelly and jam maker. Again, I'm not sure if they still sell them. I've had this one for several years. And this is the Ball Fresh Tech automatic jelly and jam maker that we're using. Hopefully you can see that okay. And I absolutely love it. If you have problems with your hands like I do, or problems not being able to stand over a stove and keep stirring the berries while they come to a boil, and that way they don't scorch. I don't have that ability anymore because of my foot and leg and my hands. So I absolutely love the ball jelly and jam maker because it does almost everything for me other than getting the ingredients ready, crushing the berries, washing the berries, cleaning them, crushing them, and turning everything on and getting my pot ready for cold packing, and my jars washed and lids and everything prepared. So the whole process doesn't take very long at all using the jelly and jam maker. So I absolutely love it. We're down to 8 minutes. So I still have my pot on, as you can see, and I don't really want to take the lid off of that, but you can see it's counting down over there on the jelly and jam maker. We're down to 7 minutes, and next to it I've got my stainless steel funnel ready, and I've got a small container and a spoon, and if there's any foam on top when this jelly and jam maker is done, I want to skim any of that foam off. Basically it just makes your jelly or jam look much prettier. Now the butter, putting the butter in does help take a lot of that foam out. Then I have my canning tongs so I can remove my hot jars from the water, and I have a debubbler. And I have all of my lids and rings over here because I'll be bringing the jars out. And we're down to 6 minutes. So if you have any questions, you can ask any questions. I'll try to answer them. Again, like I said, I'm not sure if Ball still sells this product. If they don't, I'm sure that there's another company that may have something similar to the ball jelly and jam maker. Now, if you can find one of these, would I recommend it? I absolutely would. I'm not affiliated in any way with Ball products, but whenever I was trying to stand over the stove to do jellies and jams, like I said, I have the injury to the leg and foot and problems with my hands. And it was getting harder and harder for me to make my jellies and jams. So I invested in the ball jelly and jam maker, and I have been using it now for several years. I've made different jams, different jellies, and every time they have turned out absolutely amazing. And I always follow the recipe that is in the jelly and jam book, that recipe book that came with the jelly and jam maker. And this also, now the recipe I used, it has two different ones. You have your traditional, and then you have a reduced sugar. So if you don't want that much sugar in your jelly or jam, this has the two options. You have traditional, which has 3 1/3 cups of sugar. But if you went with the reduced recipe, it only has 2 cups of sugar. So this would be your preference. I used the traditional recipe. It's what I was using today. And we went step by step. As I was going through this, I was reading step by step instructions. And this is for the berry jam, so you could make strawberry, blueberry, mixed berry, raspberry, blackberry, whatever berry jam. This is the actual berry jam recipe. Hopefully you can see that okay. And I'm down to 3 minutes. I'm going to check on my puppies. I'll be right back. So I'm going to turn you over toward the maker. Okay, both puppies were doing absolutely wonderful. They're both taking a nap. So, I always keep my boxes that my jars come in, because whenever I'm putting them away, it makes it easier if I want to carry them wherever I'm storing them. It also, I keep them for when my jars are empty. That way I know I'm putting my jars back in, and it keeps them from getting cracked or broken or nicked in any way. I'm going to get just a damp paper towel and a dry one. So when I put my jam in my jars, I can wipe my jar lids, and this is just plain water and a dry paper towel. And we are down to 1 minute. And if you do have a jelly and jam maker, be very, very careful with your lid, because if you do break the lid, you cannot get a replacement lid. And now it is beeping. So that is telling me that it's done. First thing I want to do is unplug my machine. Now, when I'm removing the lid, it's going to be very hot. So I want to make sure I turn it away from me. And now I'm going to bring you over so you can see the finished product. Make a little bit of room here. Okay, now there you can see the finished product. Now you can see there's a little bit of foam around the edges. That's why I have this little container and a spoon. And what I'm going to do is any of that foam, I'm just going to try and scoop it off. It just gives you a prettier jar. And I just use a spoon and go around and scoop off any of that extra foam. And as you can see, there's very little. That adding that butter helped to decrease the amount of actual foam that's in the jam. And I'm going to set that to the side. Now I'm going to get a ladle. You can use any ladle. And I'm going to see if I can move this over just a little bit. And this machine is very, very hot at this point. Now, I've got a towel set down here below. And I'm just going to ladle my jars, my jelly into my jars. And my jars are hot. So I'm going to be using my tongs. You want to make sure you're using hot jars because you're putting a hot liquid or hot product into your jars. Now I'm just going to stir this a little bit, and as you can see, it really looks runny. But it will gel. You want to fill your jars, not all the way up. You want to leave enough room at the top for any expansion while it's boiling. Because you're going to be cold packing this in hot water for 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and get another jar ready. And I always use a towel that I've used previously. So if it stains, it's okay. Ouch, very hot. Now I'm just going to put my lid on my jar after I wipe the top. And with the funnel, I don't think I have anything on the top, and I'm just making sure. Now these jars are very warm, so what I'm going to do is just put the lid on. Just enough to where I can pick it up and hold it, and then I'm going to get it just finger tight. Then I'm going to add this jar into my hot water bath. Get another jar out. These are still quite warm. And just repeat the process. Now I've had some of these that's a little thinner, and if they turn out a little thinner, they make excellent syrup for over pancakes or over ice cream. But so far, if I follow the recipe, they pretty well turn out every time and make absolutely wonderful jam or jelly. Again, same process. I just get the lid on there tight enough that I can kind of pick it up, finger tight. Add it to my hot water. I'm going to go ahead and remove this stir. Just so I can get everything stirred up a little better. This is so easy with the jelly and jam maker. And this is so good in the winter time whenever you want a biscuit with some jam. Hopefully you can see how much space I'm leaving there at the top, just in case there's any expansion. And yes, it does look like it's thin, but it will set up. And this will be setting, cold packing. Once it comes to a boil, I'll bring my water back up to a boil, and then it'll be 10 minutes. cold packing. And then we just remove it from the hot water and set it off to the side, let it seal. And I normally let mine set out at least 48 hours just to make sure that they're sealed before I remove my rings. Again, finger tight, placing them back in the hot water. I have this tilted down, so if you have any questions, I'll answer them here as soon as I get these last two done. That hit my thumb. It's not real hot. And it looks like I'm going to get about 5 jars this time. And I think it depends on how you crush your berries. I got 6 yesterday, and today I'm going to be getting 5. And your size of your berries. Because mine are homegrown, my berries are different sizes, so sometimes I'll get 6, sometimes I'll get 5. But I am going to go ahead and put this last jar in there, just to make sure that my canner is full. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it back in and fill it with water. And then I'm just going to add it back in. Now, I'll bring it around this way. I didn't use my debubbler because it didn't look like I was going to need it. So now I've got my 6 jars in hot water. So now all I'm going to do is turn that water back on and bring it to a boil. Well, it's still on. I'm just going to increase my flame. Take all this extra. Making sure it was cool to the touch, because this does get very hot. And I'm just going to let this set off to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and put this into rinse. clean up a little bit easier. I'm just rinsing this off so it'll make my cleanup time just a little easier. If you put it in hot water, it's real easy cleanup. I'll go ahead and get my stir again. And that's basically all there is to it. I'm just waiting for my pot that I'm cold packing in. My thing is still hot. I'm waiting for it to come up to boiling, and then I'll set my timer for 10 minutes. And this is already gelling very nicely on this stir. There, just gonna let that soak. And here was a little bit of the extra that I had left over. And as you can see, it is already starting to gel. And it will get thicker as it sets and as it cold packs. So we'll come back here in a little bit and take a look at this one. But that is the finished product of what it will look like when you're taking it out of the ball jelly and jam maker. And like I said, it may look a little bit runny, but don't panic. It's fine. And then if it's not as gelled as you want for a jam, then it's more of a jelly. It can be used as a jelly or a syrup to put over ice cream, to put over pancakes. It makes wonderful syrup. And if you want to thicken it, you can always open a jar and put it in a small pot on the stove and add just a little bit of corn syrup. It would mix some water and thicken it if you want it a little bit thicker for, say, pie fillings, or, you know, for any other thing that you may want to be trying in your kitchen, a new recipe. So I'm going to set this off to the side. And I am going to go sit down for a minute. Let all of this stuff just sit here. Everything's been rinsed. It'll be easy cleanup. And again, like I said, be very careful with your lid. Make sure that you protect it, because if you do break the lid, you cannot get it replaced. Okay. And I still have blueberries left over that I have not crushed. I have some blueberries that I did crush that I put in the refrigerator because I'll have enough to make probably one more small batch of jam. So that will give me 11 jars. I did 6 yesterday, and I'm doing, or day before yesterday, and I'm doing 5 more today. And as you can see, it's absolutely beautiful. It's got beautiful color. It gelled very nice. And I've had this setting out for almost 48 hours, waiting for it to finish gelling. So I'm going to go sit down, get off my foot for a minute. Let's spin a little bit of water in those berries. I don't want to have an accident fall. So all I have to do is wait for this to come to a rolling boil, and I will set my timer for 10 minutes, and I will do my cold packing. I'm going to set a timer here, and I'm going to wait about, I'm going to take a 5-minute break, go in here and sit down and have me a cigarette and a drink of coffee, and I'm going to wait for that to come to a good boil, and then I will go in and set my timer for 10 minutes. And I've got puppies wanting to say good morning. Yes. So, see how easy that was with the ball jelly and jam maker? It's very easy. I absolutely love the ball jelly and jam maker. But I don't know what my screen looked like. It done something strange. So I'm going to sit down here and rest a minute. About 5 minutes, my water should be boiling good enough that I can go ahead and start my timer, and then I will do my cold packing for 10 minutes. And then I will take them out, set them off to the side to let them seal. And then, of course, I'll leave them there for about 48 hours. And then after I know they're all sealed, I'll label them with what's in the jar and the date. And then I'll remove the rings, and then I'll put them in the pantry, and I will have blueberry jam anytime that I want a jar of blueberry jam. And it was made easy by using the jelly and jam maker, the ball jelly and jam maker. So, I hope that was informative. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, like I said, I don't have the ability to stand like I used to because of my lagging foot. I don't have the use of my hands the way I used to, so it's hard for me to stand and stir the berries on the stove while they're cooking down. So using the jelly and jam maker to me has been an absolutely wonderful addition to a kitchen appliance that I have purchased, and I've had this one for several years. And I've used it many, many times, and every time, as long as I'm following the recipe, I have never had any jam or jelly not have a good flavor or not be the consistency that I was looking for. And they've all sealed following this procedure or process that I went through. And it's absolutely wonderful just to walk in the middle of the winter and have some fresh biscuits and get a jar of your own homemade jelly or jam and put it on a hot biscuit. So I thought I would share this with you today and take you through the process. And if my daughter's watching this, which I'm hoping you are, you see how easy this was. So you can do this yourself and follow along the video, and you can have your, she loves blueberries. My daughter absolutely loves blueberries. You can have blueberry jam anytime that you want it. Or you can put it over your pancakes, or you can put it over ice cream. If it's a little thin, and it's more syrupy than jam. So, we'll see how this one turns out. We'll look at that whenever I get my, okay, I'm boiling really good, so let me go in and turn that timer on. I'll be right back. Okay, I've set my timer for 10 minutes. So in 10 minutes, I can go in and turn off my pot and remove my jars from the stainless steel pot and set them. I've got a towel ready, and we'll set them on the towel, and I'll leave them to sit there and let them seal. And at the end of the video, after I do that, we'll go ahead and look at the leftover that I had and put in the container, and we'll see how well it's gelled. And then I'll also open a jar of the jam from yesterday, or from 48 hours ago, and let you see the final product after it has set, and after it was sealed and set for 48 hours. I'll let you see how nice the jam looks. And that's one of the jars from my thumbnail. So, I hope this was helpful. I hope it wasn't too boring. And yes, I'm in my pajamas. It's early in the morning, and it's rainy, and I just thought, well, let's just make some jam. I had some blueberries that needed to be used up. I've picked, I think, 8 quarts of blueberries so far. I froze 5 quarts. I gave in frozen in quart bags, put them in the freezer, and then I gave 1 quart bag to one of my neighbors, and I have, as you've seen, some left over there, and I still have a lot of blueberries that are coming on, and so I'll need to be working them up. Most likely I will freeze them, so anytime that I want to, if I'm running low on blueberry jam, I can just go to the freezer and take some out of the freezer and get everything ready and make blueberry jam, because I took the time to grow the blueberries, to go out and pick them, to properly put them away and preserve them in the freezer. So anytime that I want to make anything with my blueberries, not only do I have jam that I can go in and take out of my pantry, but I also have frozen blueberries as well. So, and it's been a very stressful week. It's been a sad week here at home. We have lost 2 of our beautiful neighbors. They passed away this week. 2 very beautiful women. They were absolutely amazing. And they passed away within a week of each other. And if you've watched me before, you've probably heard me say that I had to keep my notifications on, because I had a little lady that was paralyzed, and that when she needed help and one of her aides was not there, all she had to do was call me or send me a message, and I would go over and take care of her. And in the middle of the night, if she needed help, all she had to do was call me, and I would go over and assist her. And I've been here for over 9 years now, almost 10 years. And yesterday was a very sad day because she passed away yesterday. Her smile, if you could have just seen her smile would just warm your heart. She was just an absolute sweetheart. And our other neighbor lady, she was an absolute sweetheart. So, prayers to their family and their loved ones. My condolences for your loss. They will both be so sadly missed. I almost didn't make this video today, or live stream today, because I was still pretty upset. I was very, very close to my little lady across the road. And if you've been watching me, then you would know that I'll be making her homemade meals and baked goods and taking them over and just going over to visit with the puppies. And she's going to be very sadly missed. So anyway, I just wanted to say that it was a privilege to know her, to meet her. It was my privilege to, anytime that she needed help, to go over and help her. It was an honor and a privilege. And again, my heart goes out to your family and loved ones. May you rest in peace. May you rest in peace. I'm sorry I had to address that. I hope that did not offend anybody, but I'm just real life here. Everything happens. Real life, real time. We don't edit. We don't put things in and add things and take things away. So whatever I'm feeling, I just share that. And my routine is not going to be the same for a while. This has been a year of changes and for me, and I'm doing good. Some days it's just a little harder, but I'm doing good. I'm making jam. We're picking blueberries and we're making jam, and I'm keeping my chin up, keeping a smile, and it's a new day, a new start. It'll be okay. Okay, so now, back to my jam. I've just got it on the last 10 minutes. And I am down to about less than 3 minutes. And we'll go ahead and remove those jars. And we will put them out to seal. And then we will look at the extra that I had, and we'll see how that turned out. So I'm going to enjoy a part of a cigarette here until my timer goes off, and we are done. How easy was that? So all I'll have to do now is just a little bit of cleanup. And I have 5 more half pints, I believe it was half pints of blueberry jelly. I'm sorry, my mind's a little preoccupied. I have some phone calls that'll be coming in, so I wanted to come on here earlier because I was in emergency contact for my little neighbor lady who passed away yesterday. And the agencies, she had aides that come in to help and assist her. So they may want to contact me today. And so there's some things that I need to take care of today and be ready to address. So I wanted to come on here this morning and get this done early and share this with you, bring you along, let you see my absolutely beautiful blueberries before the process, how I process them, the whole process down to preserving them and then getting them ready to put on my pantry. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and you do like videos like this, that I'm doing, please like and subscribe. And as you can hear, my timer has went off. So, I'm going to go in here and we will go ahead and get these jars removed from the co-packer. So I'm going to set you there, get my hands washed. Okay, here we go. Turn my burner off. And again, everything is very hot, so when you're removing the lids, please make sure you turn them away from you. Good grief. Yes, my mind is preoccupied. Very preoccupied. Maybe I should have waited a little bit to do the video. And I usually just tilt it to the side, just enough to remove a little bit of water off the top. Set it down on a towel. And that was my extra one that had the water in it. And my last one. So now, we'll take a look at this extra that I had. And you can see how well this is starting to gel already. Hopefully you can see that. It's getting a nice gel. And the longer it sets, the more it will gel. So now we have the taste test. Mmm. Oh, do you hear that pop? One sealed. Oh my goodness, this is so good. Mm. And yes, I probably have it everywhere. Mmm. Absolutely beautiful. You can see how it's gelling. You can see the gel on there. And here's a jar from the first batch. And this has been setting for about 48 hours. So we'll go ahead and remove the ring. And hopefully you can see how nice and gelled that is. I really don't think I'm going to even need to open this jar because we can see from the one that I have. But I'm going to go ahead and label these, remove the rings. I will label them, date them, and then I will put these in the pantry. And these are the ones that were on my thumbnail. Oh, there's two. You can hear them popping, I hope, in the background. As you can see, these all sealed, and they're all absolute. Isn't that not just the most beautiful jelly or jam? The color is beautiful. And as you can see, it's very well gelled. And I followed the same recipe today that I used for these jars that are on my thumbnail. So if you just came in, you can go back to the beginning and watch my video, my live stream today. And we did the blueberry jam using the recipe, the berry recipe from the ball. There's another one popping. They're sealing already. Awesome. Using the ball Fresh Tech jelly and jam and jelly maker. So I hope you enjoyed that. And again, these are the ones that were on my thumbnail, so I'm going to label them and date them. And I will wash my rings and put them away for my next project. And then here are the ones that we just did today. We have the 5 jars. Hopefully you can see that okay. And the 1 jar of water. So anyway, that whole process took me 1 hour and 34 minutes. So you can see how quick and easy that was. Other than my little bit of cleanup, which as you can see is not much. This is my whole cleanup. We have made blueberry jam together. So, I hope you enjoyed that. And I did not use my de-bubbler because I used the same recipe 48 hours ago, and I did not need to use the de-bubbler, and it didn't look like I needed it today because it came out very thin whenever you're first putting it in the jars. So there was not any bubbles or anything in there, so I did not de-bubble. And as you can see, my jars turned out absolutely beautiful. Okay, well, that's all I got this morning. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was informative. So, if you want to make jam or jelly, you know, it's very easy. It took me altogether about an hour and 35 minutes, a little over an hour and a half. Of course, I picked my blueberries and I cleaned them and I washed them. So I had those ready. I did get my ball jelly and jam maker out and ready ahead of time. And because I had it uh, out from the previous 6 jars of jam that I made. Washed and ready to go. And I had all my ingredients ready. And got my jars out and got jelly jars ready and washed, and then I got my water on and started my water before I went live. And as you can see, I'm now done, other than a small cleanup in the kitchen. So if you go back to the beginning, if you want to watch it from the beginning, this was making the blueberry jam using the ball jam and jelly maker, and how easy the process was. And again, I apologize, I'm a little distracted today. I hope you can understand. Whenever you lose someone that's close to you, it's a little heartbreaking and a little distracting. But I already had my life set for today, and I wanted to go ahead and do that to keep me busy, keep my mind occupied this morning, and share this the process of making the blueberry jam. So if you want to make blueberry jam, you've seen my thumbnail. That is my first 6 jars that I made, and then today, together with my live stream, I brought you along. So together we got to see the whole process of making the blueberry jam in the ball jam and jelly maker. So I hope everybody enjoyed that. It was not my normal live. I was, like I said, a little distracted. I do apologize for that. I hope you understand. And so there it is. That's all I got. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here and get my kitchen cleaned up in just a little bit. But I'm going to sit down and let my foot and leg rest. Let my hands rest a little bit. It's damp and rainy, so yes, Nan Nan is in her pajamas. That's what my grandchildren call me, Nan Nan. Tammy's in her pajamas. So, thank you for being with me. Thank you for coming into my kitchen and watching the process. And thank you for always being so kind during my live streams. I appreciate that so much. You don't know how much I appreciate that. So, until next time, have an absolutely wonderful day. Enjoy your day. It's hump day. Every day's a new day, a new beginning. And as I always say, don't be afraid to go into your kitchen, try new things. It's always fun. So, until next time, bye-bye, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was informative. And as always, please be kind. Be kind to one another. We need to see more of that. We need to see more kindness, love, and understanding. So please be kind to one another. And enjoy your Wednesday, your hump day. And I will see you the next time. So, bye-bye, everyone. Enjoy your day. See you next time.